All right, everybody, we are live. Can everybody see me and hear me? Looks good on my end. I think things are good. So, what is going on, everybody? Thought I'd just do a random stream tonight. It's Super Bowl week. We're 8 days away from the big game, which I know sounds like a long time, but there's plenty of stuff to talk about still, and not all of it has to do with this Super Bowl, of course. If you've been following team news the last couple of days, it's actually been pretty active. All right, what's up, Jack? Hey, Daniel Barry. Hey, Fantasy King, Pekai, Misfit, Narc Diaries, George Harmon. Looks like the stream is working on all 3 locations as well, so that's good. I know Brandon is doing a joint stream with Bryce and Dan, so there's probably a lot of people over there. But I think they're winding down. They've been on for over an hour, so this should be fine. All right, so 8 days until the Super Bowl. How many fifth-year options can the Seahawks pick up this offseason? Only 2, Witherspoon and JSN. And I think we will pick up both, but then we might also extend both on top of the fifth-year extensions. The fifth-year options. The fifth-year options just give us a little bit of extra time to the extension itself. Hey, Corey. Excuse me. Who would you want for offensive coordinator if Kubiak does go to Vegas? Either LaFleur or Arthur Smith. I would go with either of those 2 guys. LaFleur is, I think, probably the most direct Kubiak tree hire you could make, but Arthur Smith is proven in a way that LaFleur is not. Do you think we keep Woolen? Probably not, Jack. That would be my guess right now. I think that the team thinks that Woolen
B.
is a space
Haven't the
cadet.
Hawks been for sale for years? I'm confused about the sudden drop of the story.
Mike
Jody was always
McGee.
going to sell the team.
Thank you for the $5 super chat. Haven't the Hawks been for sale for years? I'm confused about the sudden drop of the story. No, they have not been for sale for years, and they're still not for sale now. The distinction here is that there was a plan to eventually put them up for sale, but they were not for sale, and they're still not. The story alleges that they will go for sale starting after the Super Bowl. But no, they are not for sale right now. They have not been for sale for years. If they were, believe me, somebody would have bought them. If they were for sale for the last few years, there would be a buyer by now, I think, pretty easily. Feel like we need a CB2. If we lose Woolen, we do. And there are options at the cornerback position this offseason. So I'm not overly worried about it, but that's the nature of the NFL. The best teams lose some players and need to replace them. Are you more interested in pursuing a right guard in free agency or in the draft? I don't think this draft is very good for right guard. If you are going to try to upgrade from Bradford, you need to do it in free agency, unless you want to draft Gennings Dunker. And earlier this week, Gennings Dunker actually measured in with really long arms. So at this point, he's probably a tackle. He is probably going to be looked at as a tackle in the NFL. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get him and move him to right guard. That is probably a right tackle we're looking at this point. Hey, Nolan. Hey, Misfit. But yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to get a right guard in this draft that's an upgrade over Bradford unless you get Dunker. And I feel like that got less likely this week for sure. No doubt in my mind. All right, guys. So I'm gonna stream for like an hour, just kind of talk about whatever people want to talk about. Ask questions in the chat. I'll get to what I can. I'll talk about what I can. Please like the stream if you haven't already. By the way, we got 50 people in here right now, so give it a like. Subscribe if you're new. We hit 20,900 subs earlier today. Obviously, we're not going to get to 21,000 tonight, but I think it would be really cool if we could get to 21,000 by the Super Bowl. So we need to get like 95 subs in the next 8 days. It's doable. So if anyone watching this video is not subbed, give me a sub if you feel that my channel is worth your sub. But yeah, we're just going to kind of talk about whatever for about an hour here. Just kind of felt like it. Can you see Montgomery leaving Detroit? Sure. He's relatively replaceable. And you also have a Detroit team that's already given out a lot of money to a lot of players. They've extended Goff. They've extended Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams. They extended Gibbs. They extended Sewell. I think they have a big contract on Decker, Aiden Hutchinson. Like, they paid everybody. How much money do they have left? I feel like we should keep Woolen because there isn't going to be a better corner in the draft. Well, yeah, obviously. But it's going to cost a lot of money to keep Woolen. I know people have this fantasy in their head that because he's a space cadet,
I
he's
stand
going to get
corrected that
less
I thought
money.
they were already on sale. Guess it was just known she'd eventually sell. Nonetheless, let's go Hawks, get the win.
Thank you, Mike McGee, for the $5. Yeah, they have not been for sale. It was just understood that eventually the team would be put on sale, but they were not for sale. Thoughts on Travion Henderson being a big factor / weapon despite poor pass protection and low snaps versus Denver? Well, the only thing I can assume is that they didn't play Henderson against Denver because Denver blitzes a lot, and they knew that Henderson would get butt blasted on blitz pickups. But the weird thing is, the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is that New England ran the ball almost that whole game. May barely threw the ball, especially in the second half. So I don't know why Henderson didn't get to play. I'd be very interested to know what the strategy was there. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. I'd understand it if they were throwing the ball every down and they don't trust him in protection, but they it seems like it was like a basically a benching in a game where they were run first. How much is too much for Max Crosby? I think you'd have to go up pretty darn high. I imagine once you get up to like 3 first-round picks, you probably don't want to do that. But anything short of 3 first-round picks, I'm pretty down with, personally. You're not going to get another player of Crosby's caliber this offseason, and he is the final piece to a team, and he does fix an issue with the team that I think is fairly significant. I do think that this Seahawks team has an issue generating pressure right now, and I do think that you're not going to fix it unless you're very aggressive here. How does our interior match up against Milton and Barmore? That is kind of the one area of the matchup that isn't great. This is probably the best interior defensive line we played all season, and our interior, it's been playing better, and I don't think it's bad anymore, but it's not elite. The thing is, though, if the Patriots don't have Harold Landry, they don't have that much going on edge. So there's a little less to be worried about there. And if they don't have Spillane at linebacker either, their front seven is kind of in tatters. How do we move the ball against this Patriots defense? I I just think that you can go after that
How are
secondary a
you
little bit.
enjoying Deus Ex?
Cyrus, thank you for the $2. I like it a lot. I'm a fan of the series, Cyrus. I've liked all the Deus Ex games, even Invisible War, which most people don't like. I like Mankind Divided a lot. I don't like it as
What's your
much
feel
as
of the
Human
game based
Revolution.
upon the two teams? Do you see it being close? I somewhat think Seattle could dominate this game. Thoughts?
Thank you again, Mike McGee, for the $5. I could see Seattle dominating the game. I could see New England getting a wake-up call because they haven't played a lot of good teams this season. I could definitely see a situation where they just run into a buzzsaw because they're not battle tested the way the Seahawks are. But I do think there are some things going on with that New England team defensively that are pretty credible. So I'm not gonna sit here and say I think it will be a blowout, but it wouldn't surprise me that much. I think one oh, Curtis, welcome to the channel. Thank you for the sub. I feel like that New England offensive line is gonna have some big problems. I think the Patriots offensive line, especially with Campbell being so inept in recent games, combined with Jared Wilson not being good at left guard, he's kind of playing out of position anyway. Like that whole offensive line is pretty mediocre. So I feel like you can send a lot of stunts at them with Big Cat and DeMarcus, and maybe you can even free up Nwosu a little bit to do some damage on the edge. And you can get to Drake May a lot, which is something that we did not do against Stafford. That's one area I feel like we can really take control of the game, their offensive line versus our defense. Wouldn't it be more worth it to get Trey Hendrickson because you wouldn't have to trade for him? I'm a little suspicious of Trey Hendrickson. There are some concerns there for me. He's kind of getting old, and I also think that he might not be a great fit for us defense where you're playing stand up all the time. He's always been a hand in the dirt guy. Not that that's the end of the world, but he is somebody that usually plays with his hand in the dirt, and in Seattle, he'd play standing up. I don't know if that would work well. Drake May is the worst quarterback in the playoffs. I mean, he's played like it for sure. He's not a bad quarterback though. Like don't think for one second that May is bad just because he hasn't looked very good the last few weeks. He is a very good quarterback. Is Woolen versus Stephon Diggs a good matchup? I'm down with it. I'm down with our corners against any receivers they got. I mean, I would say that maybe Booty or Boutte or however you pronounce it. Maybe you want to have Woolen on him because he's a little bit more of a downfield threat, but I'm fine either way. What matchup intrigues you the most? I would probably say the Patriots' offensive line versus our defensive line, or edge, or however you want to quantify it. I think that's where the game can really get out of hand for New England potentially. That offensive line has not been good in the playoffs. I think May's gotten sacked like how many times has he gotten sacked in 3 postseason games? It's pretty bad. We're getting Clint Kubiak from Yelton. Well, we are losing Clint Kubiak, I think, but not to you guys. Sorry. You guys are getting Ron Rivera and you're gonna like it.
Go Hawks B, still hard to believe we are here.
Yeah, thank you for the 435, Mike McGee. Very random number, but yeah, I did not think we were going to be here this year. I thought we were a playoff team, but I didn't know about more than that. Do you think the Action Green Color Rush has been unofficially discontinued?
Did Woolen deserve
Yeah, I
the
guess.
17K fine for his
I
penalty?
don't think much of it though. North Swing, thank you for the $2 Canadian. Um, I'm fine with it. The NFL fines people for everything, whatever. Like it doesn't really. I don't think about that kind of stuff that much. So if the league wants to fine Woolen a relatively small amount of money, then whatever. Like a couple years ago, I don't know if anybody remembers this. Maybe it was even last year. The league fined Zach Charbonnet a ridiculous amount of money for a block that he threw, which I thought was insane because that was actually a ton of money for a guy on a rookie deal like Charbonnet. But other than that, I just kind of don't care about that kind of stuff. Are you concerned about Darnold's injury or the fullback injuries? Definitely not concerned about the Darnold injury because we've seen him play with it for 2 games and he's looked totally fine. The Oots injury, maybe, because it's a neck injury and those are no joke. New England is really good against play action while we were really good in play action. Apparently, we run a lot of quick passes out of play action. Well, again, the question I keep having to ask is New Eng- is New England going to be good against play action against a really good play action team? Because look who they played in the regular
Let's
season.
get some fumbles forced from May. He can't hold on to the football if it was his baby.
Um, that's something I had to ask with Drake May's season. Yeah, Drake May's had a really good season and he's a good quarterback, but look who he's played against. And then you start thinking about what he might do against a better defense, and it's like, well, how much credit do you give the team for doing what they did this year, knowing they played a historically easy schedule? Let's get some fumbles forced. But anyway, uh, Dan Vader won. Thank you for the 4.99. Yeah, if you get to May, he may fumble it. He is a fumbler, and we need to find a way to get to May because these last two games we have not gotten a lot of meaningful pressure. We did get pressure on Purdy, but a lot of it was kind of soft, and we got no pressure on Stafford really. If you were the Patriots defensive coordinator, what would be your game plan to stop our offense? Probably double JSN and then hope that Gonzo holds up against Cup and Shaheed, depending on the play, I guess. Like, the thing is, though, it's not that simple, right? A lot of people are saying, oh, just double team JSN. Believe me, guys, teams have been trying to double JSN for weeks, and they haven't stopped him from producing, and they haven't stopped this offense from cooking. So it's not that simple. You can't just say, okay, we're going to double JSN and the
Keep
problem
up
is
the great
solved.
content, brother. Hawks fan and Oz here. How do you feel about Darman being selected as Chief Kindness Officer for the Super Bowl? Crying face emoji.
Jeffrey, thank you for the 4.99. I did see that thing about the chief kindness officer. I don't know what it means. I don't know what that is. I'm just not really going to think about it. So whatever. It doesn't really mean anything to me, you know. I'm just going to go ahead and no comment that one because I don't know what the heck that is and I don't know what that means. Right now, do you see it most likely that Nwosu and Mafe are both gone this offseason? And is that what you want? I think so. I think so. I think that there are just too many issues with trying to bring those guys back. Nwosu's got on a big contract. You can save 11.5 million letting him go. And Mafe, this is a contract year. If he can't produce in a contract year, when's he ever going to produce? We just can't lose someone who is 6'4" and runs the fifth fastest 40-yard dash of all time. It's a lot of money, though, and we're going to have to pay Witherspoon. We got to pay Spoon. Got to pay JSN. Like, if we re-sign Woolen, all of this money is going to start kicking in at about the same time, and Darnold's probably going to want an extension next offseason. Like, yeah, there's a lot of money to spend, but that money will dry up real quick if you're given 25 mil a year, 30 or maybe even 30 mil a year to Woolen. And if that's what he asked for, I feel like somebody's going to give it to him. Do you think the RB's backups will step up or hinder the running performance? Um, I think that I think that Halani will do fine on third down. I don't think he's gonna necessarily do well on carries, but he can be an effective blocker and an effective pass catcher, and that's what we need. We got one more game to play. We can live. By the way, we got now over 100 people in the chat, so thank you everybody for coming out. Please like the stream if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. Trying to hit 21,000 before the Super Bowl. We should resign him, in my opinion, if you can get him for 15. I'd be shocked if you could get him for 15. I don't think there's any way you get him for 15. I think it's going to be like 25. After the 49ers game, Woolen had an incredible season. Like, legitimately, his coverage numbers are right around the best in the league. The best in the league. We should, do you have a priority signing JSN, Spoon, and Woolen? Probably JSN, probably that order, honestly. JSN, Spoon, and Woolen. To me, JSN and Spoon are must-haves, and Woolen is not, though. Like, if we don't re-sign JSN and Spoon this offseason, I'm gonna be really confused. Like, you lock those guys up, they are way too good. And get the extension done now before the market value goes up, right? You wait another year, it's gonna be a few more million per year probably, because of the way the cap goes up. I mean, we can afford to re-sign Woolen if we want to, but it's gonna eventually come back and bite us later. It might mean we can't re-sign Byron Murphy. It might mean we can't re-sign Gray Zabel. There will come a time where when you lose, keeping Woolen will cause you to lose somebody else that's good, in all likelihood. I don't think we can just keep everybody forever. Who's your favorite prospect overall in the draft, even if Seattle picks too low to be able to get them? That's an interesting one. I'm an edge rusher guy, so I am a big fan of Ruben Bain, but he's not the greatest rusher. He's more of a he's like a DeMarcus Lawrence type, I think. I think we can re-sign K9 Yun. I think we can re-sign K9 because running backs are not that expensive. Like Woolen might cost 25 million, but K9 is probably only going to cost like 10 million, 11 million. Running backs are much more economical to keep. So I think K9's different. K9 is going to be like a third tier contract. Other than Saquon and CMC, running backs don't get paid in that upper echelon. It just doesn't work that way anymore. Which is why I've come around on the idea of re-signing K9. Although I'm not completely married to it, I do think it's probably the right thing to do. Williams will be off the books when we re-sign Murphy. I'm not so sure about that. I would not be so sure about that. Defensive tackles can play at a high level into a very old age, and Williams has been money for us, so I could see Leonard Williams sticking around longer than people expect. I just think if we want to compete next year, it's going to suck having only one good corner. Well, you got to find another one. You got to go find another. And you can do it. I mean, why not? Woolen was a 5th round pick, right? I am thinking it might be a low scoring slugfest. Any reasons against it? I think that's a reasonable thought. I have a lot of confidence in this offense, though. And look, New England's got a really good defense in theory. It is worth noting the last 2 times they played a good offense, they gave up a lot. They gave up a bunch of points to Buffalo, right? You go back and look at that last Buffalo game, their defense got destroyed. And the Ravens were destroying them until Lamar got hurt. So when you really think about it, yeah, they've got a good defense, but mostly because they've been able to play offenses that they can just abuse. Is there a world we keep Bryant? Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's likely to happen, but I'm not ruling anything out. It seems like the team likes him. Do you think we have any corners in our squad that can take over Woolen's role? I mean, he's a free agent too, but I like Job. I think Job's a good player, or at least a decent player, but you might need to do a little bit better than that. I like Pritchett a lot, and he did come along pretty strongly this year and play a lot better in recent times. But I do think you'd have to go outside the team to find somebody to take over Woolen's role, yeah. Are there any free agent running backs that you would want over K9? Brees Hall. I liked Brees Hall more than Walker in the draft 4 years ago. And I think Brees Hall would have been better if he didn't tear his Achilles or whatever. And if he's all the way back from that injury, I actually think he's probably a better player than K9. But I don't know if you're going to save any money doing that. We can't allow New England to impose their will with the run and quarterback scrambles. Well, New England's run game is actually kind of bad. They're like 25th in rush EPA this year. They're not very good at running the ball. Some of the numbers look okay, but they're not a very good running team. And the only team that can run on the Seahawks a little bit, it seems like, is LA. So I'm not worried about their run game at all. I'm confident we're stopping the run in this game, especially if they don't feel confident playing Travion Henderson. Any chance of an ad competition next season? Ad competition? I'm uncertain about Darnold's longevity. I mean, I don't think you're bringing in anybody to challenge Darnold next season. You're probably just going to bring back Locke and Milrow and roll with it. I'm going to be heated if Woolen just goes to the Rams because they desperately need a corner. He is a very Rams-like corner. That's an interesting thought. Oh, about competition. No, I don't think we're going to bring in a quarterback to compete with Darnold. No, that's not something that happens. In this circumstance, I don't think. Douglas or Davis, their third receiver, he's good versus man. I think it's Douglas, but I'm not sure. Any chance other teams trade for Milrow this offseason? I'd love it to happen, but usually it doesn't go that way, right? Especially because it's not like Milrow showed anything this year. It's one thing if he had gone out there for a couple games and played well, but that didn't happen, so probably not. But I'd love for it to happen. If somebody wants him, I'm willing to definitely part with him. Misfit, you have to do the exclamation point at the start. Corey, thank you for the member message. Yeah, I agree. The team needs to re-sign Shaheed. I think that Shaheed is maybe not as important as JSN or Spoon for obvious reasons, but to me, it's a little bit of a failure if you don't re-sign Shaheed because you traded picks for him and you've only had him for 8 games and you haven't even had a full chance to integrate him into your offense. You need to get more out of Shaheed to make that trade really hit. All right, guys, be right back. All right, everybody, before we go any further into this video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the Sleeper app. We are just about to the Super Bowl. Now would be a great time to get on Sleeper. It's a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. Celebrate and chat about sports in real time with other users. You can get scores, you can get news, you get alerts with blazing fast speed, all kinds of sports stuff. You can play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. Enjoy sports together with a community. Download the Sleeper app today. And when you do, use promo code SBN for up to $100 match on your first deposit. And also, utilize the free $20 entry with no deposit required. All you have to do is make an account for that one. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper and have some fun with sports this year. All right. What do you think of their slot slash nickel Marcus Jones? Well, that should be a pretty big matchup victory, right? You should be able to pick on him a little bit because we have big slots in Cup and JSN. It's way too soon to write Milrow off. Oh, I know, but we have a quarterback now, and as it turns out, we are more satisfied with that quarterback than we ever thought we would be. So when is Milrow going to get a chance to play? Max Crosby is my number one target in the offseason. I think he should be pretty much everybody's. Like, I don't want to, tell anybody how to think necessarily, but I think that Crosby, he's got to be the guy. You're not going to get anybody else anywhere close to that. If it's not Crosby, you're looking at like Malcolm Kuntz and Khalil Mack, and you're just hoping things pan out. It's a lot tougher. And we really need the edge help because we're going to lose a couple guys this offseason. And one of the guys that we're going to have next year, probably Derek Hall, like, how good is he? I think he's all right, but is he anything special? Doesn't seem like it. Do you think we should give up draft capital to trade for Crosby with how John has been drafting lately? It's a bad draft, and we have low picks. So, yes, 100%. Crazy timing with my super chat and your sleeper ad. I didn't see a super chat from you. I'm sorry, Mike. Send it again in the chat, and I'll reply to it. Hey, Empower. Good to see you. Vance Joseph might go to the Cardinals. That would be a decent one. That would kind of make sense. I could see that. I imagine a lot of people on that Broncos team want to run it back, though. They were so close this year. Every single person in that building is like, we absolutely should have been in the Super Bowl, and we got hoed by bad luck. All I said was asking for comp for Sam is crazy. Okay. Yeah, that's just not something that's going to happen on a team that just played in the Super Bowl. Even Jimmy Garoppolo didn't get competition right after going to the Super Bowl. He got competition years later. Does Crosby even want to leave Vegas? He said he wants to retire a Raider. People say that all the time. It rarely means anything, especially with the way things are looking right now. If he can get out, I'm sure he'll take it. I want us to get JPJ in the offseason. He may be available, yeah. It's not a bad idea. Any pass rushers in the late first or late second round with double-digit potential this year? Pass rushers are almost never good in their rookie year. It's very rare that you get a guy like that who is good as a rookie. Like Abdul Carter did very little this year. And he was the what? Was he number 3 overall pick? Right? Yeah, he was I think the number 3 overall pick. Will Anderson was good his rookie year, but he wasn't anything close to this. And those are top picks. So we could get somebody like an R. Mason Thomas. We could get somebody like a Akeem Mesidor in the first round. And I would like those picks, but I don't think those picks are going to pan out as rookies. Thoughts on Bradford after this year? Is there a viable replacement with significantly higher upside? Not sure if I see one. There are going to be guys in free agency, but you're going to have to go get them and spend the money on them. I don't think you're going to be able to get anything in the draft better than Bradford because at the end of the day, rookies have a learning curve, and Bradford at least has a few years of NFL experience that a rookie would not have. How bad would it be if Rams got Rashid Shaheed? Yeah, that would bother me. That would not sit well with me at all. Sam about to get paid. Probably not this offseason, but next offseason, yeah. The Seahawks have a pretty hard and firm rule about not negotiating new contracts until the time is right. And the time is not right when you're in year 2 of a 3-year deal. Can we get Joey Bosa this offseason? Probably, but there's real risk there. He's getting older and he gets hurt all the time. Like, you might get Joey Bosa and then end up holding a bag on him. So I don't know if that's the play either. Should we keep Cup next year? My gut says no. I feel like the answer is no. If we lose Shaheed, we probably have to keep Cup, though. That might be kind of the inflection point. If we re-sign Shaheed, we can cut Cup. If we lose Shaheed, we keep Cup. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, and Shaheed adds so much on special teams too. Like you're not going to find a replacement for Shaheed on special teams, punt returns and kick returns. Yeah, I don't want to lose that. I'm willing to pay Shaheed $20 million a year if that's what it takes. We haven't even really seen him fully implemented in this offense yet. By the way, guys, don't forget, Cup could retire. He is turning 33 this offseason. He's gotten injured a lot in the last few years, and he might want to go out on top. If Horton is healthy, don't need a two. We don't know what Horton is yet. Horton might not be a number two. I think Clint Kubiak is going to Vegas if they overpay him. Yeah, we haven't heard anything about Kubiak in Vegas today, which I think is an indication that the interview went well and they're just going to wait to sign him after the Super Bowl. I think it's pretty much locked in. Hopefully, sometime tomorrow or maybe Monday morning, they sign Evero from Carolina. I think that's the only hope. Will you be streaming the Super Bowl? No. No, I'm going to be busy. I'm not going to be streaming the Super Bowl. No. Even if Horton is healthy, Shaheed gives more to the team. Exactly. And we can afford it too, right? It's not like, there was that universe where we were talking about paying DK 35 million a year and JSN 35 million a year or whatever. That's not the world we're living in. We're living in a world where we're paying one guy about 35 million, maybe 40, and the other guy's going to make at most 20. I don't think Sundell's ever played guard. I think he's probably a pure center. He's not very heavy. If I had to guess, I would say that Sundell is not going to be able to make it at guard, but maybe. Are you throwing a Super Bowl party with your family or friends? Yeah, basically. I'm going to have people over. Raiders have now completed a second head coach interview with Seahawks OC Kubiak, who is also interviewing today for the Cardinals head coaching job. So that was from Adam Schefter 12 minutes ago. If Denzel Boston falls to 32, Seahawks draft him. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we're going to have enough needs to where taking a receiver is probably not our plan. Although I like Denzel Boston, I would not be angry about that. I feel like there's going to be a player that makes more sense there at 32. Yeah, we might not keep our pick at 32 or 31. Yeah, that too. Russell Wilson was mentioned in the files. I saw that actually. I actually did see that. Pretty amusing. Don't really know what to say about it. I looked at what was said. It wasn't like anything that bad, but still. Has the reality of this season truly sunk in for you? Yeah, I think so. I try to keep a level-headed about this stuff and realize what's going on as it's going on. I think that's one of the great skills in life, to understand what is going on as it's happening and not wasting the moment. Yes, guys, he's not kidding. Russell Wilson is in the um in the files. It's not like anything too bad or anything, but he is in there. He is mentioned several times. Go look it up. The guy's not kidding, but it's not anything like really bad. Was your expectation this year NFC champ? No, absolutely not. I thought we were a playoff team. I didn't think we were going to be more than that. I didn't think we were going to be this good offensively. Will the Raiders ask 2 first-round picks for Crosby? I think at least. Crosby's 100% worth 2 first-round picks. I'd be thrilled if it's only 2 first-round picks. When is Russell Wilson going to retire? Hopefully this offseason, Rollerblade. I wrote a whole article about this over on Seahawks on SI. He's got to go away, man. He's got to go away. What is your thoughts on 49ers Super Bowl window? I think it's basically cooked. Trent Williams is probably going to just have his hamstring fall off his leg next year. And Kittle is probably cooked. McCaffrey is probably going to have to change positions. I don't know how they hold together. Do you think McVay is the Seahawks kryptonite? No, I just think he's really, really, really good. And sometimes he gets you. It's not about a weakness. It's just about he's really good at his job, and sometimes it's not your day. What are your keys to win the Super Bowl? I really want to attack that New England offensive line. I really want to go at him. If Henderson's in the game, I want to blitz a little bit more than I typically would because I don't think he can keep up. And I want to find ways to scheme JSN open. Oh, Nightbot's out of date. I'm 36 now. Yeah, that's actually no longer true. I'm 36. Oh, yeah. Jordan Schultz reports that the second interview with Kubiak from the Raiders went well. So I think that's probably ball game. Hey, James. That's probably ball game, unfortunately. I imagine at this point, the only thing that can happen is that Kubiak withdraws. So I think that is probably ball game. Thank you, IR Hungry. Appreciate that. Hey, Michael. How you doing? Who's your top Kubiak replacement? Either LaFleur, Mike LaFleur, or Arthur Smith. I think both those guys would be great. Arthur Smith might be better than Kubiak, honestly. Arthur Smith did phenomenal work in Tennessee with Tannehill. And Tannehill's just okay, right? How good is Will Campbell for the Patriots? I mean, he's good, but he's been garbage in the playoffs. He got hurt, came back. Ever since he came back, he's been kind of trash. And he's got some severe physical limitations. Let's go Hawks and win the SB. I'm not concerned or worried about the next OC or owner. Let's win the game and it will last a lifetime. I agree. I agree. Let's just go win this game and then we'll figure it out. Why LaFleur no play calling history? No, LaFleur's called plays. He called plays for the Jets. It wasn't good, but he was on the Jets with Zach Wilson. LaFleur's called plays before. And I think he's called plays for a couple of games for the Rams over the last few years. Is Gonzalez better than Spoon? Definitely not. How about promoting Jake Peets? Well, Jake Peets is a mystery box. We have no idea what we're going to get. Jake Peets is a complete question mark. So if that were the case, it would be very risky. Yeah, Che, that's what I'm referring to. Arthur Smith, when he was a Titan, was phenomenal. I don't think what's happened over the last few years with him is really an indictment on him. It's really annoying that Kubiak is allowed to take all these interviews during the prep week for the Super Bowl. Well, it's because there's an extra week, right? He still has all of next week to think about the Super Bowl. And look, I mean, a lot of people have to go through it, right? Like Shane Steichen knew he was going to be the Colts head coach. I'm sure before the Super Bowl, and he interviewed with the Colts during the lead up to the Super Bowl, and he still had a great Super Bowl. Same with Kellen Moore last year for the Eagles. He knew he was going to be a Saints head coach before that game started, I'm sure. He's already at Ohio State. You can definitely buy him out of it, though. You can buy him out, and I'm sure he'd rather be in the NFL. Well, Spoon, the thing to keep in mind with Spoon is he is so unnaturally good at tackling and in run support that whatever he gives up in coverage, and he doesn't give up that much in coverage, but it's something that I'm pretty happy living with. Which of the newly hired head coaches do you think is going to be the worst? Todd Monken is a good pick, Nolan. I could get behind that. That's probably going to be bad, although I don't think anybody would be good there. Um, if the Cardinals get Ron Rivera, that's going to be pretty bad, but we don't know that he's going to go there yet. What teams do you expect to reach the level of where we are into next season? I mean, the Bears would make sense, right? The Bears would make sense. They got to go for it. It's going to be the last year before Caleb's extension. And their defense is really, really bad. So probably the Bears. Yeah, rollerblade. I would love Mike LaFleur. I think LaFleur is great. Little bit of a mystery box because he wasn't good with the Jets, but he has called plays before. Yeah, MG Slicker. I did see that, and I do tend to agree. That does sound like somebody that is excited to move off Woolen after the season. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Nothing against Woolen, but we don't have infinite money, and there's going to be a lot of money to throw around in the coming years. Mm. Who are the top 3 candidates to purchase the Seahawks? I think Bezos is the obvious guy. Like, he can afford it so easily, it means nothing to him. He has links to the area. It's probably Bezos. Do you think we will be able to stop Puka next year? 400 yards in 2 games is unacceptable. I'm not too worried about it. We won both those games, so he can have his yards as long as we win the game. How much longer on stream? I was only going to go like an hour, so I'm going to get off in not too long, I think. I can't think of any reason to keep the stream going much longer. Is Bezos even into football? I don't know. But I think Bezos attempted to buy the Commanders, right? Danny Lyons, thank you for the sub. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, it would be surprising if it wasn't Bezos. And I'm fine with that. It's, Bezos will probably be about as good as anybody else.
The Seahawks are world champs.
Wow, real Jimmy John, thank you for the 490. I'm sorry, the 49.99 super chat. Thanks for all your coverage this season. I don't think I've missed many videos. You are my go-to for all things Seahawks. I appreciate that, Jimmy John. I'd try my best. They better not try to pull a Clay Bennett. Guys, don't worry about that. We have a lease with the stadium that the team can't really get out of for like another 7 years or something, for one. We've got the lease with the stadium. We have a really, really good and really, really entrenched fan base. We sell out every home game pretty easily. We're the only team in this area. It's not like we have a team in Oregon or anything like that. And the team is too successful. There is no universe where the Seahawks are going to get moved. Like, don't worry about that, guys. I'm serious. Don't stress about that. There are things in this world to stress about. That is not something you need to be stressing about because it's not going to happen. Remember, the NFL has to sign off on it. And where would the team move? Like, where are you moving the Seahawks? Mexico City? What about Costco owners? I don't know who the Costco owners are. Yeah, you can't do the Packers thing anymore. They changed the rule. NFL teams cannot be publicly owned anymore, so that's not an option. There were some people talking about that a few days ago, but it doesn't it's not allowed anymore. Could Phil Knight buy the Seahawks? That's another thought. San Diego, California. I mean, they already tried San Diego. Didn't work. Right? Like, what's the city that needs a team right now? Mark Cuban doesn't even have that much money. Mark Cuban would have to be part of, like, a group. And that may be what happens here as well. There might end up being a group that purchases the Seahawks. If it's not somebody like Bezos or Ballmer, then it's gonna be, like, a group. Mhm. You really think it'll be Bezos? I think that's the most likely outcome here. But yeah, guys, the Seahawks are not gonna get moved. This is not a circumstance where that is a realistic thought. There are other teams out there that will get moved way before the Seahawks. You have teams like the Bills, you have teams like the Jaguars, you have teams like, the Cardinals. Those are teams that could get moved before the Seahawks. But remember, the league is gonna vote on anything, so the league may not approve something. Like, if the Saudis tried to buy a football team, I wonder if the league would, step in. Do you think we could get rebranded? The brand is very strong right now, so I don't see why. A team that needs to get rebranded is like the Cardinals. The Cardinals need to get rebranded, but the Seahawks, their brand is very strong. Why would the Cardinals move? Because they haven't won anything in a billion years. They're one of the worst franchises in sports, and um, I why not start over a little bit? I mean, but honestly though, like for the most part, the Saudis, even if that did happen, they would probably just spend the money and stay off, keep their hands off the team. That might not even be that bad as long as they did that, right? Just sign the checks and don't meddle. Yeah, Phil Knight's really old. I don't think he's buying the Seahawks. Phil Knight is just barely clinging on, trying to see the Blazers win a title before he goes, which doesn't seem overly likely right now. Twitch stream tonight? I think so, Nolan. It's not going to be very long, but I do think I'm going to do more Deus Ex tonight. I want to at least finish the mission I was in the middle of when I left earlier. Kubiak is a great OC, but I'm not convinced he'll make a great head coach. Probably, there's probably a lot of truth to that, Jimmy John. A lot of guys like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to recognize what you are. All right, guys. I'm going to go and get on out of here. Thanks for coming out. Fun little stream here. Just felt like going live for about an hour to talk about random stuff. See you guys. I'll be on Twitch later. More Mankind Divided. And more videos coming tomorrow. February starts tomorrow, by the way. Bill's just got a new... I'm speaking, like, in general, in a general sense. There was an extended period of time where people thought the Bills were going to move to Toronto. Obviously, it's not going to happen now. But I'm saying those are the teams that people talk about as a move candidate. All right. So everybody have a good rest of your evening. See you guys later. Go Hawks. And I'll see y'all later.